by ChoiceCenter Leadership University is where emotional intelligence meets extraordinary results. Founded in 1998 in Las Vegas, ChoiceCenter has empowered thousands of people around the world to unlock their full potential through experiential trainings and coaching. Here on EQU, we dive into the inspiring stories and transformative journeys from both famous faces and everyday heroes. Graduates who have harnessed emotional intelligence to have transformed their lives in ways that are nothing short of remarkable. From skyrocketing their careers to deepening relationships, balancing creative pursuits with focusing on health, finances, and family. Our guests share the real-world impact of EQ on living a life you author and love. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped with insights that can serve you to create radical results in your own life. If you're ready to dream, declare, and deliver, let EQU show you what's possible.
Welcome back to EQU. Today's guest is going to remind you that your circumstances don't define you, your emotional intelligence does. And if you're finding yourself inspired by this podcast, please partner with us to expand our reach by giving us a rating, hitting the follow button, and sharing episodes with people in your life who are pursuing big dreams and level 10 relationships. And with that, Robin, who do we have joining us today?
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, a parent, or a leader with a big vision, this episode is for you. Our guest today is someone who has literally built success brick by brick, starting from a small town in Lebanon to now leading one of Austin's best and biggest luxury home building companies. Nicolas Sfeir is a graduate of ChoiceCenter's LV159. He's a senior leadership coach and has taken every class that we offer. The Samurai Game, the Journey Within, Men's Retreat, you name it. He's used his emotional intelligence education as a foundation for raising four amazing kids, leading multi-million-dollar teams, and transforming his life through bold choices.
Nicolas is a mechanical engineer by training, but a visionary by heart. When the Raiders Stadium contracts were up for bid in Las Vegas, Nicolas had a vision to beat out all other competitors, not by competing on price, but by enrolling the decision makers in his vision for what the stadium would mean to this community and to the players and staff. The story of how he coached and role-played these conversations with Robin will remind you that 100% really is possible 100% of the time when your intention is clear and you have a mindset of, if it's to be, it's up to me.
Winning that Raiders Stadium contract gave Nicolas the confidence to move to Austin and scale a construction company from $23 million to $72 million. Yes, 72 in just 3 years. And today he owns and operates EEF Custom Homes, which has already doubled in growth. Get ready to hear how an EQ mindset and clear intention have built the American dream for this Lebanese immigrant. Nicolas Sfeir, welcome to EQU.
Wow, I'm blushing. What an introduction.
That's well-deserved, Nico. Well-deserved. Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Well, that's heartfelt and heartful, because playing with you is nothing but joy, Nico. We're so excited to be here today and hear all about it.
Excited to be here too.
Well, for those listeners who may not be familiar with you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where were you raised and what was your early life like?
Well, sure. I was born and raised in Lebanon, and I was born during the Civil War. And I take pride in saying that my mom delivered me in a war bunker, because when time came up when I needed to come out into this world, they were shelling around the hospital so much and they couldn't deliver in a regular hospital room. So they took her down to the bunker of the hospital, and that's where I came through this. So
wow.
I would like to say I was born in adversity.
Yeah.
Yes, I was born and raised there, went to school there. And then one day I was with a really good friend of mine, my best college buddy, and we're sitting there debating, like, is there a future in this country, or we have better chances in the United States? It's like, I don't know. I don't think we have a future here. There's been war after war and hopes and deceptions and disappointments. So we packed up and moved to Las Vegas, and both of us finished up at UNLV with mechanical engineering degrees, and that's how we moved from Lebanon all the way to Las Vegas, USA. And I didn't fly anywhere else but straight to Las Vegas. And a really good friend of mine came and picked us up from the airport and drove us right onto the Strip. And there it was, the Statue of Liberty. In New York, all these immigrants are welcomed by boat. That was my Statue of Liberty, is the New York, and Las Vegas, welcoming me to this amazing town where I was really fortunate to be in.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, we've got to go back and ask, though, or is there a lot of casino marketing in Beirut or something? How do you get from Lebanon to UNLV? How does that even transpire?
My best friend of mine, we were sitting there and talking, and it's like, where would we go in the United States? I mean, we didn't know, but then he said that his uncle lived in Las Vegas. And it was like, Las Vegas, how do you have a better worldwide appeal like Las Vegas? It's known everywhere and sold. Let's go do it. And it was quite a challenge to get here, applying for student visas and going to neighboring Syria because the U.S. embassy at the time was closed in Lebanon, and getting denied there and not taking no for an answer, going back again and not taking no for an answer, and ended up flying across the small island of the Mediterranean called Cyprus. And that's where I applied the third time for my visa. And I told them my story and why it's so important for me to be in Las Vegas in the United States. And the lady that interviewed me there just gave me the visa. So that was very fortunate being able to come here.
What did you say to her that had her flip so quickly?
So it was really the vision of what I saw myself. Since I was a kid, I always watched Walt Disney and his vision, walking into Disneyland, you see Walt Disney holding Mickey Mouse and then showing him, pointing out that the world is yours type of thing. And that was my vision of the United States. It was the land of the opportunity. My thing with it is if you work hard enough, you apply yourself, you can make it. I hear a lot of success stories of Americans and people that moved to the United States, immigrated there, being very successful, but they work their butts off. And I'm not shy of working my butt off to get there. So that's what I wanted to do. And I didn't see that happening in Lebanon. Lebanon is a very corrupt country. It doesn't matter how well you work. It's who you know and who you're going to grease their palms and all of that. So I just didn't see that same opportunity there. So that's kind of in a roundabout way why the United States and what I told her and why UNLV of all places was very important because of the construction going on in Las Vegas. The reason why I love construction is I used to be a little kid and following my dad around construction job sites. Not only he owned a restaurant, but he loved to do spec homes and build apartment buildings and stuff like that. And I was fascinated with concrete and people wearing hard hats and doing finishes and all of that. That's why I was always loved to be in construction since I was a kid. And no better time than being in Las Vegas in 1999 when half the Strip was blowing up with brand new casinos. And that was a great opportunity and very fortunate to work on a lot of those during my career there.
Well, you got your degree at UNLV in mechanical engineering. How did that lead you into commercial construction?
Well, it was completely fateful to be in commercial construction. They don't do that anymore. And I know I'm going to show my age by saying it, but there's those 8.5 by 11 flyers that they used to post all over the college walls of wanted ads. And then you had those little clippings at the bottom of the 8.5 by 11. So you tear up one and then you call the number and that's that. So there was an opportunity about an inside sales engineer at a mechanical equipment company. You're talking Carrier, you're talking, big industrial companies. And I called up the numbers like, hey, I saw your flyer at school. I'm calling up for the job opening. And I went for the interview. I forgot to say that I came here with 2 suitcases and $300 in my pocket. So while I was at UNLV, I had a bicycle and it was the dead of summer. It was July. And I went to that job interview on my bicycle, and job interview was across the freeway on the other side of Tropicana.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine that. So I showed up to my interview sweating head to toe, wearing my only suit that I bought at a Marshall's just for the interview. And the guy looked at me, said, I love your drive. I love what you're doing. This job, you're going to get bored to tears doing it. I know this company in Las Vegas, and my old boss is also Lebanese, and I want to introduce you to him. And sure enough, while I was there, he called him up and set up an interview time. And he told me, don't worry about your bicycle. I'll come and pick you up so you're not sure.
So nice.
So he came by, picked me up for the interview, and we go to the interview, and his name was Vachi, and he was Armenian Lebanese. And I go sit in his office. Southland Industries was a big name in Las Vegas. And he was leading one of the biggest mechanical contractors. Sit down in his office, asking me questions and asked me where I was from in Lebanon. And I told him, little town up in the mountains, and that's where I grew up. It's like, oh, do you know the Sahara restaurant? It's like, wow, yeah, that's my dad's restaurant. Like, get out. I used to go up there with my best friend, Gabe, and Gabe always introduced me to that restaurant. It's like, Gabe? Like, Gabe is my dad's best friend. So we had a serendipitous encounter to where I knew his best friend and I knew him. And obviously, I had good grades and all of that. So I ended up starting with the company. And that's how I ended up in commercial construction.
That's awesome.
So we met you in 2016 when you enrolled in LV159. I still remember that evening, you coming through that front door with several people. How did you find your way here? And what attracted you to the ChoiceCenter's EQ training?
My gosh, quite a story. I was part of a peer group called Vistage in Las Vegas. And I did a Vistage for about a year. And the lady that was chairing the group was a graduate. And after being a year with the group, the reason why I joined it is I wanted to get better. I was looking for ways to get better with myself, better with the company, better with business, better with the family. It's like always better, better, better everywhere. And I didn't feel I was getting the value out of that program. And when I sat down with her and I told her I'm not going to be anymore with the program and I need to move on to do something else, that's when she stopped me and said, Nicholas, I'm going to tell you something. Your friends in the program, they want to share with you that you're disconnected, people can't relate to you, and you're standoffish. And I looked at her, it's like, where was that in the past year? That's what I'm craving from the program is where are my gaps in my emotional intelligence? And she kind of clicked, it's like, I've done this program. I've done it when I was 19 years old, and it literally improved my life. I was a single mom, living by myself, didn't know where my next paycheck is going to come from. And I did the program and I turned out to be a very successful businesswoman. I don't know what it will do to you, but here's the website, check them out. And I'll leave that up to you. And the minute she left my office, I just turned around to my computer and I signed up. I want that feedback. And I got it. And I got it in spades, but I got it.
That's awesome. And as you went through the training, what were some of the aha moments that you had? What did you discover?
Oh my gosh, it's like all the major milestones that I had through my career and my life, personally and professionally, are tied to some type of training at ChoiceCenter. The biggest aha moment was in Breakthrough. No matter how flawed we are as human beings, we are still deserving of success and accomplishments. You walk through these trainings and you have your guard on. I don't know what this is about. Is this going to be another corporate training? I went through multiple corporate trainings and I didn't feel that I was getting filled up. I felt always empty leaving them. But going through the doors at ChoiceCenter was walking into a place where the guard is down and you see humanity of what humanity is, this beautiful beings that everybody is. And you're in that place where people hold you up to your highest potential while holding your feet to the fire. And that was beautiful. And that was the biggest aha moment that I had going through Breakthrough. And it really ignited into leadership, which, you have your aha moment and then now what? What are you going to do about it? And that's what leadership is about. That's those 90 days of going out there and using that fire and executing on whatever you want to do in your life.
Yeah, what was on your PSP, your personal strategic plan for those 100 days of coaching?
I have to admit that I didn't go big enough on this because the big thing that always comes up to me was starting my own business. And I totally regret not putting it in my PSP. But it was a lot about my health goals, losing 30 pounds by the end of leadership, landing a big job at work, improving my relationship with my wife and my kids. But the one regret I had is I didn't go big enough on that PSP. That came back later doing men's retreat. And at men's retreat, that's when I really decided to buy my business and then start my own, because I wish I've done it earlier, but it's never too late. You always have the opportunity to go back and start it again. And men's retreat did that for me.
Yeah. What was the big thing that happened on men's retreat? Then how'd you make that declaration?
Oh my gosh. It's what I put in the pre-homework for men's retreat is whether buying my own business or starting my own business was the right thing for me. And we were literally standing on top of a ravine and really taking a jump into nothingness. This is really the leap of faith. And that's where I knew I needed to start my business. This is the biggest leap of faith that I had to do. I was before secure in my corporate job. I started all the way from the bottom of the corporate ladder to leading multi-$10 million businesses, but I still felt empty. And my calling was to start my own business or own my own business. And being in front of that ravine and doing that exercise really firmed it up for me that this is it. I need to step into the unknown and take that additional risk and then start the business.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And after graduating, you came back and coached. And for those who haven't taken a team all the way through discovery, breakthrough, and leadership, what did you experience was the value of coaching others to level up their lives and take on juicy things on their strategic plans?
What an experience. At first, I just wanted to be a coach. And for whatever reason happened, the head coach, the captain, ended up not able to make the training. And then Robin and her infinite wisdom is like, you're it. It's like, I just wanted to coach. And then the thing with captaining in LV is not only the coaching that you get from Robin, from you, Corrine, and other foundational members of ChoiceCenter, but then also the give back. And that was one of the most satisfying things I've ever done is coaching, because seeing somebody walking through the door and whether they have issues with worthiness, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough things, and watching them develop and blossom in a span of 4 or 5 months, that is so satisfying. And the fact that I had a little something to do with it, they have the fire in them. You just have to direct it and keep feeding it so it grows and it grows. That is very satisfying. You can't just do the trainings. You have to also coach to get the full experience of what that means.
So true, Nicolas. Coaching takes everything we learn and then we get to start giving it away in our own style. And I absolutely line up with you on that. As I recall, while you were coaching LV162, you found yourself in one of the most pivotal moments in your career, as it was announced here in Las Vegas that the Raiders were moving to Las Vegas and Allegiant Stadium was being built. Tell us what happened there.
Sure. Coaching 162, it's amazing. When you're giving back, the universe gives back 10x of what you put in. It's one heck of a return on investment. So while coaching 162, the opportunity of the Raiders Stadium came about. This is way before they broke ground. The town was buzzing with it. The owners for the Raiders and the general contractors were doing the procurement for all the trades that would go and build the stadium. So that was the opportunity to have in town. It was not only a Raider stadium, but a UNLV Rebel stadium, and the sense of belonging to Las Vegas and having finally a professional sports team in town that we've waited forever to get something like this. I know we had the Golden Knights, but nothing weighs more than an NFL team, and it's the Raiders of all people. And creating that sense of community, that sense of sportsmanship. Imagine the families that are going to grow up around the stadium, going to these games, and the kids, they're going to be looking up to all these Class A athletes. Oh my gosh, the opportunity was there. And it's like, we got to have this job. So we received the request for proposal, and then we started working on it. We worked with engineering. We had engineering capabilities. We were flying all over the country, visiting the Viking Stadium because the general contractor was the same as the one that built the Viking Stadium. So I stood there and I blew in the horn, flew all over the country prepping for that moment to where we're going to get invited to the table and give our pitch, essentially. But it wasn't without any issues internally within the company. A lot of the executives, especially the CEO, was not completely sold on us doing the stadium. He had some other plans for Las Vegas, and whereas there was a faction in the company that wanted to have the stadium, it's a big project. I mean, it ended up being about close to $250 million, give or take, on the mechanical side. And it took a lot of effort. It was teams from Las Vegas, from Washington, D.C., from California, Southern California, all working in unison to produce this proposal. And along the way, Robin was tracking it during the coaching calls. Like when we have our coaching calls 3-4 times a week, hey, how's the Raider Stadium? How's it progressing? And then you're doing that pursuit, and you're doing your calls, and you're coaching a leadership. So it's all that going on at the same time. It's like, all right, bring it on. Let's pile onto that plate. That plate can only get bigger. Like there's always room for more on that plate. And all of that happened at the same time. Internally, I just really had a conflict with the CEO. And I remember it like yesterday, I was meeting with my peers and we were in Portland, Oregon. And I was constantly on the phone with Robin. It's like, this is what's going on. This is what the CEO is saying. This is the position he's taken. And this game is about enrollment and vision. How do you enroll people into your vision of what you see, the possibilities of getting a Raider stadium for the company, for Las Vegas, and all of that? So it was a lot of enrollment that needed to happen into why this is good. So after a lot of back and forth with him, and I go to Robin, debrief with her. Finally, the CEO was on board for us to keep full steam ahead with the project. And fast forward a little bit, here we are in front of the Raiders organization and the general contractor. We were competing against two other companies. One was from out of town and one was local. And the others were all about the numbers and what they had in their bids. Our presentation was all about the vision that we have standing behind it as a company to service the Raiders organization, to build this vision for Las Vegas and what could mean to Las Vegas and us. And 4 days later, it's like, you guys had us with that vision. We knew you had the scope. We knew your price was a little bit more than the others, but we wanted to hire you just because of it. And prepping for that interview was also coaching with Robin and going through the plan and the preparation to going in there and really having that back and forth about how it's going to go. That was amazing. That was the biggest job that I've ever pursued and landed. And it brought a lot of pride to me. I've worked on big projects, the City Center, the Aria Towers. We did the South Point. We did the Venetian. I was very fortunate to be part of these big jobs on the Strip, but that was the cream of the crop of all these projects.
I love it. So what was it that you and Robin would coach on? What was happening in those coaching conversations?
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And it was a lot about keeping my feet touching the ground, being grounded into what the vision is. It's like, I see it in you. That's why it's important for you. But how you're going to deliver that message and how you're going to show the passion and show that you're going to not only deliver on the passion, but deliver on the product. And you can build the trust and you can build the conviction that they're hiring the right team to move forward with it. And I have to say that half the team that went in and presented for the Raiders organization were Choice graduates. So I was really lucky in that we were working in leadership in unison and we had each other's backs and we got it to that point.
Very exciting. So in those moments along that path right there, when you got right there in front of it and you were up for the bid, what was that like emotionally? You'd have those days that were just crazy big beyond your imagination. And one thing I learned about you early, you are filled with gratitude all the way through the project. You were grateful for the challenges. You loved it. So share with us, what were those moments like for you in the emotion of going through that whole process?
My gosh, it was a roller coaster of emotions. It was being grateful, being thankful, feeling accomplished, feeling that you have it one day and you can turn around and you can hit a road bump. And everything that you build up to that point goes away and like, oh my gosh, we're 2 steps back now. We were 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And now you're dealing with emotions of, oh my gosh, we're going to fail. We're going to let people down. But then the emotional intelligence of it is realizing very fast that what you're feeling at that moment who is that serving? Is that serving anybody? Because we chose as a team, and I chose as an individual to feel that way, whether the high highs and the low lows. But then at every step of the time, there's a choice to make those feelings. Who are they serving? Because this is completely up to me to change what I'm feeling and change the prospect and change the perspective and look at it in a different way. What else can we do? And that's what kept it moving forward. And that's a lot of life during leadership. You have those high highs and low lows, and grateful to coaching during that time. I had an amazing coach during leadership. And it's like, well, what are you going to do now? Because being in it is not helping you and not helping anyone. So you got to snap and get out of it, because you are choosing to have those emotions. And it's the ultimate responsibility and ultimate accountability. It's really easy to say, I'm going to hold people accountable. I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. That's a lot of work. But when you hold yourself accountable and you hold your feet against the fire and you push through that, that's 90% more efficient. And if you can teach people how to be self-accountable and they're responsible for their part and moving forward, that's a whole lot easier than I'm going to hold people accountable. I heard that a lot in my career about holding people accountable and all of that. It doesn't work. That stuff doesn't work. You hire the right people with the right attitudes and the right accountability, and that's how you thrive.
What did you learn about yourself in securing that bid?
It was a new frontier. It's like going through the Wild West and being in a brand new territory. I've never knew I was coming to this country with the 2 suitcases and $300 and having a bicycle running around college to be able to sit down in front of the owners of the Raiders Stadium and be able to sell a $250 million job. That was crazy. That was crazy insane. And obviously over the moon, I climbed Mount Everest. It felt like it.
It did feel like that, Nicolas. So let's share a little bit. You have such an amazing story about how that process unfolded. And, you were very, very coachable, first of all. And just as we could hear a few minutes ago, you really come from that distinction that we all learn about being 100% responsible 100% of the time. And you stood there. So that's one of the reasons you're so easy to coach and were way back then, because you owned it. You were in the ownership as if it was your stadium. So let's share a little bit about those meetings you were having. You'd come back so excited and you'd come back with questions and fear, all the things that would be natural. What was it that you remember really moved you through all of that?
It was the vision and the dream of that stadium. That was the guiding light of what kept it all together and had the team moving together to go win it. It's vision. Once people are enrolled in it, again, life is an enrollment game. And part of that, if not all of it, was this is ours to lose, and going in with that mindset. Going in that you already won the job, now have to figure out how to get there. It's that mindset.
How did your EQ education impact how you saw yourself as a leader? Because here you are in the world's greatest entertainment location, Las Vegas, and we're going to add the Raiders. How did you use everything you were learning? How did you put this together moment to moment?
This is Nico's personal opinion about EQ. 90% of EQ is being present and being in the moment. Because if you're in the past or you're in the future, you're not in the present. And you can't choose to take a direction in the past because the past had happened. And you can't make a decision in the future because the future hasn't happened yet. It's that present moment that makes the difference. And when you ground yourself and you are present, then you can make any choice you want and you can pivot any way you want to get the results you desire. So that was the biggest thing, is let's not talk about what's going to happen in the future. We are going to win the stadium and we're here in this present moment. What are we going to do about it? That was the biggest learning. And then I learned that quite a bit. And that was in discovery. And then you get into leadership. Those trainings give you the tools to practice how to be present and being in the moment. And that's what I use the most. And then you talked about journey within in 2 weeks. I was embarked on that journey for 6 months. And you want to learn about how you're being present? Get on that. And your presence are going to increase tenfold by going through that and being aware of your emotions and how you pivot from every moment to moment.
So what did you learn about yourself, Nico, in securing that bid, in that process? How did that experience transform you?
Oh my gosh. It's almost like if I put my mind to anything, it will happen. When I started working, the first feedback I got from the president of the company, if you don't fix your English, you're not going to make it anywhere in this company. And that's within 2 weeks of being hired on. and then fast forward all these years and you're in front of people selling $250 million job, leading a team of amazing people. That's the American dream. And that's what it's all about. It's that joy you get from that. And then selling that job and how you feel about it. It's like, where can I get more of that? What can I do with what I learned? Can I turn that and have my own business? Or what would that do for my prospects within my same company? It's the choices and the opportunities are infinite, is what you decide to do with them.
So did you experience yourself through this process that you were going to get this bid, you were going to beat these competitors, or was there a little bit more up and down to this?
Well, the vision, and you asked me about what coaching happened between Robin and I, that vision clarity is what supported me winning that bid. And how I got this clarity is by getting coaching from Robin and asking me almost 100 questions to get crystal clear of what that vision is and how to be able to communicate it. So that was the invaluable moment that I had learning this. And what you learn once you have a clear crystal vision and you're completely enrolled in it and you put in the work behind it, it becomes easy. Robin would tell me, it's like, you're not pursuing the job. You already want it. You just got to figure out how to get there. And that was the thing. It's completely different mindset. You already want it. It just changed the game.
Stand as if it's already completed. And you certainly were one of the most coachable executives I still have ever worked with. And obviously it turned out the way you wanted it. Did you really believe that you could beat those competitors when you first got started?
They didn't have a chance. They had no chance.
I love that. So here's an opportunity, Nicolas, to make a big difference for all the graduates and their families and friends. What would you say to the others who have a dream that feels out of reach, but they deeply desire to achieve it? What's the coaching you'd offer now that you're the guy doing the teaching?
Make the dream reality by setting the mindset you're already there. What I would coach him on, you have the dream and you're going to be living it. Put your sweat equity behind it. You got to work towards your dream. It's not, oh, I'm going to dream this dream and I'm going to go meditate on it and it's going to happen. It doesn't happen that way. It's nice to get clarity in meditation, but then also getting the clarity and the plan and willing to do what it takes to get there. It's whatever it takes to get there, that's what you have to do. That dream will not happen. It will stay a dream. And some people don't like that. I mean, I get a lot of pushback when you tell people that they need to work on it. It's like, well, no, it's not a lottery. It's, if you want a dream, just go buy a lottery ticket. You have better chances of getting that than realizing your dream. You got to put the work behind it.
Yeah, intention plus action creates the results, right?
Yes. Leadership, committed action.
That's
there
right.
You go.
Committed
there you
action.
Go. Right there's the piece.
So after you reinvented yourself to win the bid for the mechanical plumbing fire protection contract for the Raiders Stadium, where did that take you? What was your next big venture?
So after that, I decided to do something different. I came across this company here in Austin, similar role. They were struggling a little bit with the market. Austin is a red hot market for construction, as everybody knows. And they were telling me, it's like, we haven't figured out quite yet how to break into this market. We see a lot of these opportunities, big buildings going downtown, big projects, big factories being built in Austin, and we want to be able to be part of that. And that was very exciting to me, to be able to take something and mold it into a town like Austin and be able to grow it and develop it. So from Las Vegas, Austin, here we come. And that was back in 2018.
Wow. What a journey, Nicolas. What a journey. My goodness. The results created when you got to Austin were also spectacular. I think you did a really big leap. If I remember, it was about 3 years that it took you to really leap out front. And also, I remember you speaking about, I think you had like 10 books you bought about how to buy a business, and you were studying before you even left. You had all the directions, you know. So what did you discover, and what did that take from you, and from where to where?
I came here in the role of division leader, and the business was at 27 million, grew it to 72 million in 3 years. The opportunity was there. It just instilling a culture of accountability and people believing in themselves that they can do something like this. The business was almost boxed up into, oh no, we're just good with these small little projects. It's like you have a brand name and you have the whole company backing you up. Why don't you go big? They're going to support us. So within 3 years, we developed plans and we changed the perspective of how we are viewed in this market to where a $27 million business grew into a $72 million business.
Wow.
And you go from doing strip malls and jobs that no one wants to do doing a marquee job downtown, like the Google Tower. Like that one is right on Lady Bird Lake, downtown Austin, on the main street. A marquee job like that, being able to land it, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, what specifically did you do to lead a company to nearly triple its revenue in a couple of years?
Oh my gosh, a lot. Had to go down and break it down to the bare bone and then rebuild it back up again with systems and vision and know-how and hiring the people that hold themselves accountable versus people waiting to be held accountable. So that's how we changed the business from where it was to where it is.
Nice. And about how many years did it take you to triple the revenue?
3 years.
That is
Wow.
fast, Nicholas.
Wow.
Yeah, sincerely though, what were some of the things that you did to enroll others in growing it?
It starts with you, really. When people see you driven, they see a vision and they see somebody who believes in them, they enroll in that. If they see someone have a personal agenda, they don't care, people pick up on that. People are not dumb. So that was the big thing that I needed to be in order to take that business from point A to point B. And the rest of it is details. It's all about building skills, all about going out there in the market, developing the clients who are the big dogs in town and getting meetings with them, getting to know you, break some bread and all of that, and share with them what you're trying to do. Whenever you start sharing what you're trying to do, your vision, people get enrolled in that and they want to help you. So all of a sudden we go from the margins to doing essential big jobs. And that was very satisfying. There was a lot of ups and downs, but it was a lot of fun.
So, Nick, you purchase a company. You're the owner of EEF Custom Homes. Tell us about how you came upon acquiring that business and what kinds of results have you generated?
So you mentioned earlier buying 10 books about buying your own business. So working at TD Industries was not completely fulfilling because, like I said, I should have put in my PSP that I should have owned my own business and I could have gone there a lot faster. But I finally got it. And that's where, I was coaching LV162 when the Raiders Stadium happened. I was in men's retreat when I bought my business. And the way I came about it is a lot of searching. It's working with business brokers, word of mouth, who's selling their business. I'm looking for something. I wanted to be in construction. That's something I always loved and want to be in. 6 months into it, of vetting almost 60 companies, I finally came across this gentleman, and he's been in business since 2015. He came here from almost the same story. He came here from England and then coached soccer at University of Texas, not as the head coach, but as a regular coach. He wasn't making ends meet. And back in 1999, he started flipping homes when no one was doing it and started doing that, growing the business little by little, started his own soccer club, but then also doing flips until one of his flips told him that you need to build my own home. And that's how he became a custom home builder. And he did that in 2018. He grew the business, but then his job was so demanding running a football club, doing the custom home business. So he decided to put that business up for sale. The business grew beyond his capabilities. And I was lucky enough to come across it with a broker. And I was competing against two other people. And one of them was a private equity firm that was wanting to buy the business. And the other one was another builder. But then I enrolled the broker into my vision. The broker put an and. It's like, I can watch for my seller's best interest and get this guy to the finish line. So developed a relationship with the broker, enrolled him into what I was trying to do and why I was doing it and how having this business was my lifelong dream. And by the way, I bought this business when I was 46. If you think you're too old of starting a business, think again, because you're going in and writing any new chapters in your book, and you're never too old to do anything. At 46, finally dream come true, owning my own business. And we went through the process. The books were clean. The reputation was amazing. And he did the work in a very affluent area of Austin. And all of that checked out. I wasn't very picky in picking the business. I was good with everything as long as there's a reputation. The business had good, solid bones. I didn't want to fix anything. I just wanted to pour gas on top of a business that's already working and taking it to a different level. I was super lucky to come across it. So the business was about $6 to $8 million a year, depends on the year. That's how they showed their books in the past 5 years. We did the work on the projects. We saw which areas he was building in, the type of product that they were delivering, and I was sold on it. That was almost 4 years ago that I bought the business.
How do you, now you're operating, you're out in front, how do you keep your team aligned and in forward? What is the juice? What is the magic that you bring your team together with that keeps them focused on a vision and purpose?
So full disclosure, I did commercial all my life. I didn't do any residential, custom home or anything like that. But I believed in myself that I could learn it, like I learned everything else. And what I knew, and it's a common denominator with regardless of what business you're in, is believing in the people that are already in the organization. They know what they're doing. Having someone there that believed in them, and I think Steve Wynn said it the best, take care of your people and your people will take care of your clients. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't feel supported enough. They did not have the right resources, the right systems in place. So came in, took care of that. That was low-hanging fruit, early wins. They felt supported. They felt confident in what they're doing. And that showed with them dealing with our clients. And that prospered. So that company went from doing $8 million a year, and this is going to be our best year ever. And we're tracking to do $14 million this year. And it's all word of mouth. We don't advertise. We don't send flyers. We don't do anything. All our business is word of mouth referrals, and people walk by our job sites. They see a sign on the job site. I want these people to build my home. And that's how we get our business.
That's great. Yeah. Wow. You bringing up Steve Wynn, I worked for him for many years, including over in Macau. And what we were all trained on religiously was only people make people happy. So it's about pouring who you are into your people. And when the people are happy and they feel like they're well communicated with and they're acknowledged and taken care of, then they really produce results with you and everybody buys into the vision. So what would you say, are there any other things that you do to build your team's culture that's allowing you to scale companies in the way that you have?
It's all about culture and the people. It's not about the product. You can sell anything. You can sell watermelons and people would buy your watermelons because of the people selling them. It's about that culture of ownership and owning what you do and feeling pride when you're doing it. That's what we deliver. That's what people buy into. You can deliver the best home ever, but if your heart isn't into it, you're not going to get the next one. But if you think about what that home means to that person that you're building them for, they're building their dream home. They're building a place where they're going to make memories. They're building a place where they're going to have parties and watch their kids grow and graduate and go to college. That's the mindset you go in, is you're building people's dreams versus putting lumber and roof and windows together. Elevate that vision and putting yourself into your client's shoes and imagine what they see through what they're trying to build. And that makes it magical.
Speaking of family, you've got a wife and 4 kids, and she's also a graduate.
LV160.
LV160. And together you're raising them using tools you learned in the training. So tell us a little bit about what that looks like in practice as a parent.
So we hug them a lot. That's the thing. We hug them a lot and we love them up. And we teach them about holding themselves accountable a lot. I have teenagers and they come home, it's like, oh, so-and-so said this at school and it hurt my feelings. And I heard in one of the trainings, it's like, if someone says you're a green frog, does that make you a green frog? That was in mastery. Yes, that was in mastery that I learned that. And it shifted their perspective. So the way we're raising them, we're not raising them to be victims of what happens in their environments, but to acknowledge what's happening in their environments, and they get to choose how to feel about it. It is a journey. We're not quite there like everybody is, but just having that foundation of life is happening to me versus I'm in control of my life and I can make a difference. The way I feel, the way I handle it, it changes their perspective.
Yes.
And that is the gift that these trainings are to your children, is being able to raise someone that hold themselves accountable and train them on that emotional intelligence. I wish I grew up that way. I grew up in a culture where it's you're the male, you got to show a strong, image and all that, versus learning about emotional intelligence and being able to be self-aware and present in the moment so you can choose what to feel about it. And that's what our main goal of raising these kids is that. Life doesn't happen to you, you make your own life.
Yes. And that's the beautiful thing about you. You've carried all of your learnings through every stage of your success that you've been sharing today. But it's so much fun to hear that you use all this emotional intelligence that you've learned and you bring it home to the most important place in your life with your family, your kids, your wife, and you have a leadership kind of life with your kids. You're always taking them different places on different adventures. And so when you think about that ideal legacy that you're leaving and that you're building with your family, while you're all here together, share that with us. Give us that big
Oh my
picture.
gosh. So, we talked a lot about vision, a vision of owning my company and a vision of coming here and being successful. But then having a family and having those kids around is your big WHY, is your big why. Why am I doing all of this? And that is the legacy of you are my vision now. You're the family. And the legacy is creating this connected, loving, responsible, accountable family. And whatever comes to us as a family, we can always figure it out and move forward. And it's so rewarding. Coming from Lebanon and living through the war, there were nights we didn't know that we're going to make it to the next day alive, because there was a lot of bombing around us and a lot of people got hit. My uncle got injured. My dad was shot during the war, and you live through this adversity. Thank God we don't live through that here. But as a family, we made it. And that is the legacy I want for my children. We're here as one unit, and we'll make it no matter what. And love, accountability, and vision.
Nicolas, as we start to wrap up our episodes, we have some EQ quickfire questions that we're curious about, our listeners are curious about. So the first question, what's one EQ tool that you use daily, almost on autopilot without even thinking about it?
Being present. 90% of the time, that is the tool that works.
Excellent.
What is the best coaching that you've either been given or you have given to others about leadership?
Wow. I remember it distinctly in Breakthrough. We were doing a feedback exercise, and one of the coaches said to me, "Do you want your daughter to marry someone like you?" And that kept me at my knees, because at the time, I didn't want my daughter to marry someone like me. That really made it real and brought me down to what really mattered. Having that front of mind that I want my daughter to marry someone like me shifted everything for me in that exercise in Breakthrough. And I used those lines during Breakthrough while coaching Breakthrough. I had the students come up to me, it's like, "Nico, you knocked me down at my knees. You crippled me with that question. And you made me look at things differently." I will never forget that for the rest of my life.
Well, this is a related question then. What's the biggest EQ blind spot you have worked to overcome, and how'd you do it?
Was not being present. That's why it's that presence keeps coming back. The feedback I got, I was not present. I was always somewhere else and not being in the moment and not enjoying, because I felt empty all the time. And joy is in the presence. It's not in the future or in the past. And I had a lot of accomplishments going, walking into the doors of ChoiceCenter, but those accomplishments did not weigh anything. It just felt empty. It's like, oh, I climbed this mountain. All right, where's the next one? And then feeling empty again. And nothing fills that emptiness than the joy of the present.
Is there anything you do in particular to stay present moment to moment?
Take a deep breath. It's a breathing exercise. I will catch myself floating away and then take a deep breath. I feel the ground under my feet, and it brings me back to where I need to be.
What's one thing that triggers you, and what EQ tool do you use to respond and shift that reaction?
I mean, what didn't trigger me before coming through EQ? I was a very aggressive guy, and I wouldn't let anybody say something without being okay with it. There was a lot of triggers about not being appreciated, people not doing their best, and thinking whenever I see somebody that I perceive as weak in front of me, that triggers me, and then I just rage in the inside. There was a lot of triggers, and they're still here. And that's the thing, is you acknowledge the whole you versus, oh, these triggers are bad. You can't do that. And that's journey within. You have to embrace yourself in its entirety. And once you accept those triggers and accept those flaws that are inside of you, you become whole. The only way to change is to accept these triggers and accept those flaws. And then all of a sudden you start evolving and changing. And it's that acceptance.
You just evoked a question in me. Journey Within is currently coming together in the final days. Now that you look in the rearview mirror, what did Journey Within give you? What was the pinnacle of journey for you?
We're always work in progress. And if you're not always working on sharpening your saw becomes dull. And Journey Within was a saw sharpening moment, a 6 months of training that will teach you how to meditate. I've never meditated before then, and journal, and I never journaled before Journey Within either. And having those conversations with a team of people that share their thoughts and what they're experiencing every moment of their lives and writing about it. All of that, doing it in a span of 6 months and getting the opportunity to go back and staff that training. So I did Journey Within for 2 years. I think it's 5 and 6 that I was in. It evolves you to a whole different level of awareness. And the weekends that we had were so intense. You discover yourself at a whole different level. I've done Mastery 5 times, and every time I walk in, I find something new about myself. I've done Samurai, I think 6 times, and every time I go in, I discover something new about myself. And it's that training that keeps your mind malleable and flexible and elastic to be able to absorb something new and discover something new about yourself and being able to do something about it. That's what that training is. And I discovered a lot about myself in 6 months. A lot. The dark side and the light side, and how to marry them together to evolve and be whatever you want to be.
Beautiful. We would love to have you staff that next Journey Within.
I would love to. I would even consider being a student again. You go in and you find another version of yourself just doing the work. It's crazy how these trainings unfold something in you that you think, oh, I got that handled. I got it 100%. And oh, no, wait a minute. That's not quite there. So impeccable trainings.
Nicolas, I'll share this with you because you haven't been around. We have a professional athlete here that's been with us for many years, and he did the Journey Within the first time, and then he went on to staff it 6 times. He never missed one, and he considers it part of his professional development as an athlete, but also he knows and speaks about it has had him become the man that he is, the whole picture.
It's such a deep training. Once you put in the work, it's such a deep training.
Well, we're going to welcome you back.
That's right. Put yourself in a stretch.
For my teenagers, teen leadership, they're getting ready to embark on that.
We're glad you brought that up. When is it, Corinne?
The next one is June 12th through 15th. So as we close out every episode, we ask our guests to offer our listeners an EQ stretch challenge. So something our listeners can do to expand their emotional intelligence in between the release of our episodes. So Nicolas, if you were to create an EQ stretch challenge, what would you challenge them to do?
Oh my gosh. I'm a Boy Scout, and I've been a Boy Scout from a very young age. And I feel it's a stretch to do a good turn daily. So do a good turn daily. And it doesn't matter what it is. Everybody have that image of Boy Scouts helping old ladies cross the street. Do something like that. Or give a sandwich to a homeless person and have a conversation with them about what life is. Or just hold the door open for someone. Something where you are giving back and doing a good turn.
It's absolutely
really extraordinary,
beautiful, Nico. As we complete today, what is the message that you want to give your children from that chair right now, having reflected in the rearview mirror? Be, do, have, who you've been, what you've done, and what you have now. So they'll have this to listen to for a long time.
It's stay true to yourself. and stay as children. That's the way to happiness and presence. Once we want to become adults, the adult problems come with it. But when you think as a child and stay as a child, there's infinite possibilities. And looking at the world with these child eyes, with that curiosity and with that joy, there's nothing like it. So keep that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. Today
it.
has been absolutely magical.
Thank you so much for being on with us. You're absolutely an inspiration. What a business leader, and what a story to come from Lebanon and to achieve what you've achieved. So thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you for having me here. It's quite an honor.
One more thing, Corinne. When we do our next business training, Nicolas, you got to be with us there also. You're such a lover of creation and the business and the challenge and putting the pieces together. You will inspire our business mastery training very deeply. So you just have an invitation to be everywhere in the next couple years.
I love it. Thank you for the invitation, and I'll take you up on it.
Awesome. We'll see you soon, Liz.
Thank
you.
Right.
Group hug to the whole family.
That's right.
New episodes of EQU release every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and ChoiceCenter.com. See you next week.